All right, Doug, if you look at James Bouknight, he's been somebody getting a little more minutes as the season has gone on. And I thought he was going to get some right off the bat, kind of, because they lost a few players on offense, but Kelly Oubre's been outstanding. You look at Ish Smith, who really helped them at the beginning of the season. So now when you look at James Bouknight, now he's kind of getting downhill a little more. We love his ability to get to the basket, and we've seen him play against, I think it was Oklahoma City. We saw him play against the Clippers a little bit. Indiana, right? So yeah. So all of these teams here lately, he's been getting some kind of run. James Borrego was asked about that, whether he's challenging for minutes, and Borrego said, yeah, he kind of is.
I think Book has showed progress. He's shown that he can impact this roster and impact games for us, certainly. Once we're fully healthy, obviously I got to make that call and that determination. But he's one of those guys I got to continue to watch. His ability to get downhill and create. He's had some big games for us. I thought he played really well in Toronto, Indiana game. Obviously, we're going to need him in Boston as well. So if he continues to show growth, Will, he's definitely going to be a part of the equation, or at least be in the conversation. And that's his job, is to put pressure on me, and so far he's doing that. So
yeah, you look at his game log, right? So 7 minutes.
Sorry, I ended that bite a little awkwardly there. It sounded like he had a lot more to say.
That's fine. If you look at the game against OKC, 7 minutes there. That was the first time we saw him appear here recently. Atlanta, 17 minutes. Toronto, 29. Pacers 22, 7 against the Lakers, 19 against the Clippers. Obviously, some of that is because of some of the players that they've been missing. Gordon Hayward, health and safety protocols. Kelly Oubre, sprained ankle. McDaniel's been out with an ankle injury as well. So the question is, will he continue to get minutes when those guys come back? And it's going to be tough because defensively, as you've talked about, you're just going to trust all three of those players more so than Bouknight. What do you think about Bouknight's playing time as the season even goes into the not only latter half, but even last quarter?
I think that he has availed himself very nicely in this opportunity. I, like you, thought that they may lean on him more at the beginning of the season, but with some of these draft picks, you just never know. What that first little period before the season starts, the coach gets a really good idea of what a player can and can't do and what they're ready for. And I think part of his absence at the beginning of the season was as much about James Bouknight as it was Cody Martin stepping up and really showing what he could do and taking some of that early opportunity away from James Bouknight. But it's not like Bouknight is just sort of rotted on the bench. He's had some pretty brilliant performances in Greensboro, and so he's gotten plenty of experience. But Book is itching to get more playing time in the NBA, and I think he's done well. There have been some defensive issues. I thought, he got scorched by Brandon Boston like several times, especially at the end of that third quarter when the Clippers made their run. Yeah, so there are going to be those issues that I think prevent him from getting like a serious rotation role this season, but he's done enough. You heard James Borrego saying he's putting pressure on Borrego to start to think about it. I just don't think Borrego's going to seriously think about it unless there are multiple injuries or until we get another offseason under his belt.
And sometimes when you go to these press conferences and coaches are asked about players rather than them bringing whatever player up themselves, then you have to wonder how much of it is them wanting to speak glowingly about a player that they just got asked about. So they're kind of forced into it a little bit, right? That's a cynical approach. It doesn't mean that he doesn't like Bouknight. Bouknight's clearly getting more minutes.
Where's your belief? Why is the light? But you go to one press conference and all of a sudden you're like cynical, hardened.
I didn't even go.
Journalist.
It was just the Zoom. I didn't even go to it. It was just the Zoom press conference. So you
just clicked a button.
That's all I did. And now here I am thinking that I'm sourced like Wojnarowski. No, I think.
Let me tell you kids about something about press conferences.
That's right. I think I'm comparing it to the Jalen McDaniel side of things at the beginning of the season when he outwardly came out really and said, hey, Jalen McDaniels is putting a lot of pressure on me to play him. And maybe he was asked about it.
You're saying he said that unprompted.
Well, I don't know if he was asked about it. All I know is that he was a lot more like, hey, no, this guy is really playing.
He was effusive in his praise.
Yes, he really was. And so was praising Bouknight, and we kind of have too here recently, and he's clearly been getting some run. So, it'll be interesting to see because it's hard for a rookie to get time, especially with a playoff mandated season. But I will say, he's kind of on the developmental track as some of the second rounders that we've seen from Borrego before. Kai Jones is we're not playing him, that it's just not his time. But Bouknight, we've seen this with Devontae his rookie year. We saw it with McDaniels. We saw it with Martin. Those guys at the end, very different scenario because they weren't playing for something, but they still got run towards the second half in the latter part of the year. Now you're starting to see that a little bit with Bouknight. Now the question is, will it continue once these guys come back like Oubre and Hayward?
Yeah, and I think if this was a talented defensive team that needed offense, that needed a little punch, then Bouknight would be getting minutes, right? I mean, Bouknight is suffering right now because this team is already poor defensively. If it were, the story of every rookie in this league is about situation, is about what circumstances they find themselves in and whether that benefits them or doesn't. I just think next season is really, if Bouknight stays focused, which it looks like he has no problem doing, he looks engaged, he looks like someone that a coach would love, then I think he's going to have no problem breaking through in year two. And that's okay. Every rookie doesn't have to come out and have a LaMelo Ball-like year.
For sure. No, and we've seen that here quite a bit. Miles Bridges didn't have a LaMelo Ball breakout year, and now look at him, what he's doing. PJ, while he might be performing to what you would hope an 11th overall selection would do for you, at least he's doing it, right? I know they did a redraft on The Athletic, Sam Vecini, and I forget who was a part of them as well.
Love a good redraft.
A redraft had PJ, I think, going a spot higher. And Cody Martin was way higher. He was drafted in the first round of that. So, kind of going
Caleb
to show
Martin, too, probably actually gets drafted.
You see the dunk last night?
Oh, man.
Caleb Martin goes after you. So does Cody.
Well, yeah. I don't doubt that they kept the correct code, the correct Martin. I don't doubt that. But I doubt whether they needed to get rid of both of them. Because Caleb has been. And why give him to the Heat? That's the thing that burns you is look, the Heat have no problem finding players like this elsewhere. We don't need to give them players.
Right. Well, and the thing about Cody, I was watching him in this last game too, just watching him shoot some 3-pointers. It's it's night and day. You trust him shooting a set 3-pointer where he's open. When he tries to take you off of the dribble or do anything remotely fancy, which is move with the basketball and then shoot, then you don't feel as comfortable. But he's not doing that, right? There's a reason his percentage is so ridiculously high, how it's a complete 180 from what he was doing. I said this on the show the other day. It's not like he was a really bad shooter and then has become, hey, he's pretty good, 38, something like that. The guy was atrocious, and now he's shooting lights out, and it's all set shots. He's getting set up, and he's just knocking them down on the shots you would want him to take.
Well, the interesting thing about Cody Martin is if he keeps up this level of 3-point production, then the scouting report suddenly changes on him. And you never know how long it takes for teams to really adjust when a player goes from just not being able to shoot at all to suddenly being able to shoot. How long does it take for those scouting reports to start to adjust? But when they do, it's going to open up opportunities for him to drive. And we know that, yes, when he gets fancy with the ball, when he has to move through certain players and try to create space, it gets a little bit dicey for him. But if he's got a clear takeoff to the rim, he's going to yam that sucker.
He's going to try.
Yeah, when teams start running out on him, that's when there could be another level of his offense that opens up. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it is. All right, that'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Thanks for joining us and making us your first listen every day. We've got West Wednesdays. Wes Bryant going to be hopping on with us tomorrow to talk about all the latest in Hornets land. Now, make sure your second listen is Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets is hosted by your boy Q with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.